Diplomacy must prevail.
The U.S. struck at 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Has this warning for Tehran if it chooses to respond?
Iranian attack, direct or indirect, against Americans or American bases will be met with devastating retaliation.
Donald Trump says the operation was a complete success and that he's taken the bomb out of Iran's hands. Tehran insists it has the right to retaliate and that it'll never surrender to bullying or oppression. I'm Sumi Somaskanda. It's good to have you with us at this hour. As we've been hearing, the U.S. hit 3 nuclear sites in Iran overnight, but it remains unclear where the strikes did destroy all of Iran's nuclear capabilities. This report now from our North America editor, Sarah Smith.
Donald Trump, who promised to end foreign wars, went on live television to announce the attacks that may have just made him yet another wartime president.
Tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
In the White House Situation Room with his top security officials, President Trump, making the final decision to attack, had to calculate what the consequences might be. Will airstrikes against Iran's nuclear sites result in attacks on US forces that could start a full-scale war? In these pictures from Isfahan, you can see and hear the airstrikes hitting one of the 3 nuclear sites attacked. Iran obviously knew this was a possibility, but may not have been expecting it so soon. President Trump had said he would take up to 2 weeks to decide whether to take military action. At the Pentagon, they want to say this operation is already over. Iran should not respond.
The operation President Trump planned was bold and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back. When this president speaks, the world should listen.
This Pentagon map shows warplanes taking off from Missouri in the American heartland and flying a 40-hour round trip to deliver their enormous munitions, 14 bunker buster bombs. What damage did they do? These satellite photographs show the underground nuclear site at Fordo before and then after the airstrikes. The B-2 bombers totally obliterated the site, claimed Donald Trump. The US military haven't actually made a final assessment, but say the facility has been severely damaged, not destroyed. Iran has said it will respond in self-defense. It hasn't said how.
It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression.
World leaders have hastily convened crisis meetings in international capitals, aware that a growing conflict would affect them all. The UN Security Council is in emergency session, deeply concerned about military escalation in the Middle East.
The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation.
The US Congress was not consulted before the strikes. The president can take limited military actions without it. Only Congress can authorize going to war. Democrats claim Mr. Trump has acted unconstitutionally.
This is the U.S. jumping into a war of choice at Donald Trump's urging, without any compelling national security interest for the United States to act in this way, particularly without a debate and vote in Congress.
As these B-2 bombers are seen returning to their American base, their commanders don't know if they have undertaken a specific, limited mission or started a war. How will Iran retaliate for these airstrikes, and what will the US do then? This is a delicate and dangerous moment in the Middle East and around the world.
Let's speak now to Frank Lowenstein, who served as America's Middle East peace envoy between 2014 and 2017 under former President Barack Obama. Frank, it's great to see you again, and I want to ask you exactly what we heard from Senator Kane there. He said this is a war of choice. without a compelling national security emergency. Is that true, do you think?
Well, I think it really depends on how much progress Iran had been making towards weaponizing their enriched uranium. And I just think the United States had previously said, as recently as March, that they hadn't made the decision to move forward on that. But maybe there's more recent intel that suggests that they had. But in any event, it's not likely that there's going to be any element of congressional approval involved in this. Just historically, the commander-in-chief has been given the latitude to conduct these kind of strikes without going to Congress for approval. If the war starts to spiral out of control, if Iran hits U.S. facilities with the personnel and then we respond, then you're getting into a longer-term war that I think arguably should require congressional authorization.
What about the question of timing of all of this? We have heard the president's Secretary of State, we've heard the defense secretary talk about the immediacy and urgency in needing to strike these nuclear sites. At the same time, the Israeli prime minister has several times